Hey, everybody, this is section 7.2. All right, we are going to be multiplying and dividing fractions, but they aren't going to typically be these nice, pretty ones, but I do want to review some things. Okay, so remember when you're multiplying, you need to check the crosses. So what does 16 and 32 have in common? Well, they're both divisible by 16. 16 goes into 16 one time, and 32 goes into 16 two times. What does 25 and 15 have in common? Well, they have 5. 5 goes into 15 three times, and 5 goes into 25 five times. So effectively, I will have 1 over 5 times 3 over 2. Now I can do just the straight across math, and that will be 1 times 3, which is 3, and 5 times 2, which is 10. Okay? Now, division's very similar, except you got to remember that phrase that they like to say, keep, change, flip. So you're going to keep the first fraction. You're going to change the division sign to multiplication, and you're going to flip around this. Okay? Then again, you're going to keep your crosses. Or you're going to check the crosses, see if they have anything in common. 4 and 16 have 4 in common, so that's a 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 goes into 16 four times. 9 and 27, they both have 9s in common, so that's a 1. And 9 goes into 27 three times. So effectively I have 1 over 4 times 1 over 3. Straight across multiplication, 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, so remember these rules when we're going through. But essentially you're going to get things that look more like this. So here, I'm going to check my crosses. What do these have in common? First thing I'm going to look at is at the numbers. What do 2 and 4 have in common? That's 2, so that's going to become 1, and that's going to become 2. Now I have y's, all right? I'm going to cancel that y, and I'm going to make this to the power of 1. Now I'm going to check over here. That gives me, what do I have in common? Do 5 and 7? No, but x's and x's. So they're going to cancel. So effectively, I'm going to have 5 over 2y times 1 over 7. So 5 times 1 is 5 over 2y times 7. So 2 times 7 is 14y. And you get a couple of those nicer, easier ones. And then we're going to move on to this. And when we have this, remember we got to factor. Factor, factor, factor. That's the first thing you want to do. You do not want to do any multiplication because then it's hard to factor. All right, so let's factor. So this bottom one you can factor. GCF is 4. All right, so you're going to pull that out. That's x minus 7. Okay, this top one I can factor as well. It has a greatest common factor of x, leaving me x minus 7. So I'm going to rewrite this. So now I've got x over 4 times x minus 7 times x minus 7 over 6. All right, well, let's check the crosses. Oop, I've got an x minus 7 and an x minus 7. So they can cancel. Now I can have x times x, which is equal to x squared over 4 times 6, which is 24. Okay, and then here again, just check, make sure it's all in simplified form. All right, what about something that looks like this? And I'm just going to drag it down just a little. No, it's all right. So the very first thing I want to see or expect you to be working on is factoring. All right, so factor, factor, factor. That first one, can it factor? All right, so we get x and x. How do we make this plus sign? Well, it's either going to be plus, plus, minus, minus. This tells me it's going to be plus, plus. What makes 42? 6 and 7. Insides give me 6x, outsides give me 7x. So I sum that up and that gives me my 13x, which is what I want. Okay, now let's put that over. Next one. All right, am I in descending order? Yes. Does it have a greatest common factor? No. So let's go ahead and pot it up. How do I get a minus? I need a plus and a minus. 28 is 7 and 4. Insides is 7x. Outsides are minus 4x. Sum that up, and that gives me positive 3x. So we're good there. And do show me, continue to show me that work. These are big problems, I know, but just continue to show me this work. Okay? All right, so here we go again. We're going to pod. We need a plus and a minus to get that negative sign in front of the 4. What makes 4? 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. And it's going to be 1 and 4. Check the insides. That gives me 1x. My outsides gives me minus 4x. Sum that up, and that gives me negative 3x, which is what I want. Okay? Now let's factor the next one. Factor, factor, factor. Factoring's so much fun. It's not going away, so do not forget these rules. All right, x and x, so I need a plus and a minus. What makes 14? 1 and 14, or 2 and 4, or 2 and 7. So let's do that. Let's try that. Inside gives me 7x. The outside gives me negative 2x. Sum that up, and that gives me the positive 5x. All right, so now I can look. All right, so I can look at them individually. So I have 7x plus 7 over x plus 7. So those there can cancel. I don't even have to go looking over here at all to see if they have anything. So do I have a 6 plus x down here in that denominator? No. All right, let's go over here and look. Do I have an x minus 4 and an x minus 4? Yep. So I can cross those off. All right. And then I can look here. Do I have an x plus 1 down here in the denominator? Nope. So I've crossed everything out. And I would leave it as x plus 6. I'd leave these all in their parentheses, x plus 1. Don't multiply it out. You don't have to multiply these pods. That's perfectly acceptable to leave it just like this. Don't make a mistake by multiplying that out. What you do have to do if you have x times x is you do have to give that to me as an x squared. Okay, I will not accept x times x, but so you need to know those simple simplifications. Now, yay, we get to move on to division. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to work on is writing them and factoring. Okay, so I'm going to do it kind of 2 steps at the same time. So I'm going to keep this. I cannot factor 6x cubed, but I need to factor that bottom one. This is a perfect square, and that's x and x. 16 is a perfect square because 4 times 4 is 16, and I have that minus sign, so it does factor. So you have a plus 4 and a minus 4. Okay, I'm going to change the division sign to multiplication. I'm going to have x plus 4, and you can either write it as a square like that, or remember you can write it as x plus 4 all over x to the 7th. Okay, so let's check our crosses. I have an x plus 4 here, and I have an x plus 4 here, so let's cancel. All right, I have no numbers this way to simplify, but I have x's. I have x to the cubed and x to the 7th. Well, my cubed is smaller than my 7th, so that 7 becomes a 4. And so now I can do my straight across multiplication, so that leaves me 6x plus 4 all over x minus 4 and x to the 4th. I'm putting it out front so I don't lose it. You can put it in the back. It does not hurt. It'll stay the same. All right, on the next video, I'll finish up the last problem.